Hello there, dear CELTA YouTube Explorer. It is I, Fergus, and I am back with more tips for you from me how to do well on your CELTA course. On this channel, I do make videos to help CELTA trainees to achieve success on their course, hopefully to achieve those higher grades. And I truly believe with help from tutors online such as myself and the wealth of information that's out there and your own dedication and hard work, you can absolutely achieve as high a score as you set out to achieve. A pass A is out of nobody's reach if you do indeed dedicate yourself to it and apply yourself to the course and incorporate and deliver on the advice that's been given to you by your tutors and respond to the criteria that Cambridge looks for. In this video, though, I'm going to do a little bit of a spin-off from my series on 5 tips on how to get a pass A. And I'm going to respond to just one question which I just received very recently. You know, guys, sometimes ask and you shall receive, because one of the viewers of my channel asked me to make a video on what can be done to prepare for the CELTA course. Of course, I know there's an absolute ocean of information out there on the internet. Just search CELTA on Google and you get an endless supply of websites and blogs and YouTube channels such as my own, and within all of that, of course, there is some really excellent information. So first of all, I just encourage you to do your own research. However, there is a caveat with that. You know, my mother used to say sometimes you can have blinding light into complete darkness. And, you know, what she meant by that was, you know, when you're lost, you can have too many options and it can be kind of, you know, it can be paralyzing a little bit. So, you know, to that end, I'm going to try and give my perspective as a tutor, as somebody who has helped many people prepare for the course and to do quite well on their courses as well. I'm going to give my perspective on what can be best done. So I'm just going to jump over to the channel itself. So it came from this video, which was 5 tips to get a pass A number 2. And in that video, I give 5 more tips, so please do go ahead and check it out. But I just got this comment 10 hours ago only from I'm going to do my best to pronounce your name properly, so please do let me know if I got it right or how I can do better. But Shashi Jatav asks, could you please make some video preparation on preparation before entering to CELTA, and suggest some study material too. So absolutely. The first thing to say is when you sign up for a CELTA, your center will provide you either a Cambridge version or their own version. Both are possible because they do the same thing of what's called a PreCourse Task. And the PreCourse Task will cover areas such as grammar, vocabulary, functional language, aspects of teaching, and it looks like a test, but how you perform on that task will have no bearing on it's not like an entry test. It'll, you know, your acceptance onto a course is more of a holistic thing because you are interviewed, you do complete an application form, and the pre-course task will it's there basically to give you a sense of the types of things that will be coming up, and also to give your tutors a sense of where people are at already. Now, it is good to know that the CELTA doesn't presume that you're some kind of grammar expert or teaching expert. It really presumes that you're pretty much starting from zero. So, you know, I highly recommend doing that pre-course task that will be sent out to you. However, what other things can you do? Well, just like what any CELTA candidate themselves would do, I decided a good thing would be just to go to Google, and I just Googled CELTA reading list, and we can just see it's just endless, endless, endless. There's no end to all of the 902,000 results. But I just thought that I would pay some attention over here to the reading list that Google prepares for me. And I'm just going to go on see more over here. And I see here that the Jim Scrivener book, which I recommend in my first video, and indeed the second one, I believe I referred to it as well, and probably more videos than I can remember off the top of my head now. I'm sure I've referred to the Scrivener book quite a lot. This book, Learning Teaching, I absolutely recommend it as the number one way to prepare for the course, the number one book to accompany you during the course, and the number one book to accompany you as you set out in the world of teaching post-CELTA. Why do I recommend it so much? Well, I just find it really accessible. I find it really, the information is presented in a very low jargon tone. Now, there is, of course, all of the relevant terminology in there. So I find that Jim Scrivener strikes a really nice balance. He responds to the type of terminology that linguistics professionals and CELTA tutors will use. However, he presents it in a really excellent way for a CELTA trainee. I still even refer to it myself today when I'm preparing to give feedback for CELTA trainees teaching practice. And sometimes I want to just clarify the best way to deliver, let's say, some feedback on echoing, which is a really common thing that trainees will receive feedback on, because it's one of the things that often just needs work at that beginning stage of one's teaching career. And, it's one of those things that you can talk and talk and talk and talk about, whereas Jim Scrivener just gets a really nice succinct paragraph on it. And, after I've done with my feedback, I'll just often give the page number from that book, ask the trainee to read it. And very, very, very quickly, from those trainees who do read it, I see a lot of progress. I did mention as well that you can read this book before the course as well. It's actually quite interesting. It's one of those educational books that you can read from cover to cover, and I would venture that you would probably be quite motivated to read it, because you're going to do CELTA, and this thing is coming up, and the book really speaks to your own inner personal intrinsic motivations. So yeah, that's absolutely number one. Now, sometimes I do get questions asking me about, Fergus, what about How to Teach English by Jeremy Harmer? Isn't a Jeremy Harmer book, is it not as good as the Jim Scrivener book? I absolutely wouldn't say that at all. Jeremy Harmer is really one of the big guys of the English language teaching world. And, if you have got yourself a copy of that book, then I actually would say you don't need to get the Scrivener book, because the Jeremy Harmer book really does, the same thing. He has a great way of explaining and writing, and it's really going to serve you just as well. Possibly there's a little bit more content in the Scrivener book, marginally. Now, I haven't counted the pages or the word count of the book, and that's just a feeling I have inside. But I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. Both are going to serve you very, very well. Just my own personal preference has always been for the Jim Scrivener book. So, if you do have the Jeremy Harmer one, good luck to you. It's great to those how to teach English, how to teach vocabulary, how to teach speaking. All of that series is very accessible. So you see there, it's a whole bunch of books just like that. How to teach English, how to teach speaking. There's a whole range of them in that series. But let's go back over to this reading list. I'll just have a look at another few here. So there's How to Teach Grammar. These books on how to teach grammar or how to teach vocabulary or how to teach this or that aspect, they're really great. They're great. They're great for ideas. If you're stuck, I had a grammar lesson and it didn't go so well and my tutor gave me a bunch of things to work on. Often a book like that will be really good to go to get some ideas. The only thing I would say is those books are not like the Bible of grammar. Like, read this book and do everything it says and now you're a good grammar teacher. Read this book, do everything it says, and you'll be a better grammar teacher for sure. But there's always going to be more ways. And what I always say is read the books, but listen to your tutor and watch other teachers teach and listen to the feedback on how they taught. That's where you're really going to become a better grammar or vocabulary teacher. And why do I say that? I say that because these how to teach this or how to teach that books are kind of, and I don't mean this as a criticism, but I'll use the metaphor in the beginning. They're kind of like what they call cookie cutter. It's like one size fits all kind of thing. And one size generally does fit all. It does. It's going to work quite well. But the real value for you of doing a CELTA course is that you get to work with real students and real people, and it's real time, and you get feedback from a CELTA tutor who's been around the block and really has that golden advice that's tailored exactly for you. Because the way that I teach is not exactly the way that the next person teaches, but we can both do very effective classes and our students can learn a lot from them. But you got to remember that you got to bring who you are to your teaching. Just like this video, if another tutor were to deliver the same information that I'm delivering, they would deliver it with their personality, with their tone, with their insights, etc. And that's just it's life, it's being a human being, and it's where for me it's where the real value is. So absolutely, those books are great. How to Teach Grammar, the Jim Scrivener one, the Scott Thornbury has another great one as well. Well, his is a little bit more abstract. I'm thinking about language, but anyway, I do digress. These books are fantastic. Read them, but I wouldn't say that they're absolutely necessary before the course. A great accompaniment. Let's look at one or two more here. Here's one that comes up quite a bit. I know I'm jumping over this one, and I will come back to it. This one here, the CELTA Course, and this is going to be the Trainee Manual. Yeah, and this one here is the Trainer Manual. This is kind of like the student's book and the teacher's book. These, I would say, are absolutely not necessary. And why do I say that? These books, now I have and continue to use parts of them and sometimes big chunks of them for my own input sessions, but they're intended as kind of lesson plans for each of the input sessions on the CELTA course, but they're not intended as self-study. It's more me, the tutor, I'll bring that material to you. So your center may ask you to get that book. It's quite unlikely. If they do, of course, get it, because they're going to run their course with that book in mind. But I really wouldn't recommend you spending any time reading that book, because you really need a tutor to guide you through it. So I wouldn't recommend you reading it before the course at all. Okay, so I did say that I skipped over this one here. It's Grammar for English Language Teachers by Martin Parrott, and I'm going to pair it with this one here, Practical English Usage by Michael Swan. It's funny that these guys' first names both begin with M, Michael and Martin, and their surnames are both birds, swan and parrot. And the reason that that's such a big coincidence is because both of those books are grammar books that do quite the same thing. They're called teacher grammar books. So it's grammar for you as a teacher. You won't take material from those books and deliver it as it is to your students. They're going to be books that you're going to use when you're doing language analysis in your lesson plan, when you're preparing for the meaning and form particularly. There's maybe some aspects of pronunciation, I can't remember off the top of my head, but definitely meaning and form in those books when you're preparing for the lesson, so that you have the deep knowledge of what you're about to teach. But of course, you won't be unloading all of that depth onto your learners. You're going to be clarifying the meaning and the form and helping them to use it in a communicative way. So these books, I would recommend that you get for your course, that you get one of them, that you buy one of them, because it will serve you well even after your course. And then if you go to do Delta, it'll serve you well. Now, my recommendation to buy it, I would put it at like a 51% recommendation. And why do I say that? It's because most likely your center will have one or other of those books. I would even say 99.9%. And in the extremely rare case that they don't have one, in fact, they usually have both and multiple copies. In the extremely rare case that they don't have one of either of those books, they'll have another book that does the same thing. That's a teacher's grammar book. But like I said, 99.9999999%, they're going to have those books in the center, and you're going to be able to use them and access them all you want. It's going to be extremely useful, as I say, when you're doing the language analysis for grammar lessons, not for vocabulary because they're grammar lessons, not for functional language because they're grammar books. And it's also going to be extremely useful in one of the assignments, which is called a language related task, where again you're going to be analyzing not only grammar, but you will be analyzing grammar, and it could be useful for some of the other assignments, but yeah, these books do play a big part in the course. Now, I'll just say another couple of things about these books. Grammar for English language teachers and practical English usage. They are grammar reference books. So unlike the Scrivener book there, which you could read cover to cover, you would never read these books cover to cover. It would be like reading the dictionary cover to cover. So what I would recommend you doing is spending some time reading how the chapters work and how the referencing works, so that you can use the book effectively and see how the index works and see how that you can quickly find the piece of grammar that you're looking for, because they both work slightly different in terms of how they use the referencing. But yeah, get yourself acquainted with how they work so that you can use those books a little bit more effectively. But remember, they are reference books. They're not cover to cover reading. So in summary, you're absolutely going to need one or both of those books, most likely just one of them. 99% and many 0.9s after that 99, those books are going to be in the center where you're taking your course. And they're going to be very useful for lesson planning and assignments. Okay, so there's obviously a whole bunch more books there that we could talk about, but I'm just going to wrap up by mentioning one more book, which I have often referred to, because trainees, and I'm going to be making another video soon, and in fact I'm going to be making a little course on how to create concept questions and how to effectively use timelines. So I bring that up because, trainees often, myself included, when I was doing my course, often have difficulty just getting comfortable with effectively using concept checking questions, not just like tacking them on at the certain points in our lesson because we're supposed to do it, but effectively using them to actually check students' understanding of the language that we have presented to them. And the same thing goes for timelines. And, in the courses that I teach how to use concept checking questions in conjunction with timelines, because, they're great ways to clarify and check meaning, which is, going to be a huge part of our language systems teaching. Now, it should be said that you do, of course, need concept checking questions for lexis or vocabulary and functional language, whereas this book primarily, no, I should say only deals with grammar. So you're going to find examples of concept checking questions in there for present perfect and used to, etc., etc., etc. Again, it's not a cover-to-cover reading book. It's a reference book. I thought this was quite funny. I found here that it costs $596.02. Sometimes Amazon is weird. Do any of you find that sometimes you search for a book and it gives this like ridiculous price? It absolutely doesn't cost $596. I'm sure you could pick it up secondhand for less than $20. Just search for it on the internet, and I'm sure you'll find a much better offering than $596. I wouldn't guarantee that centers will have a copy of this. Some centers do, some centers don't. But, if your center does have it, all the better. Last thing to say about it, I wouldn't say that it's absolutely essential. Again, no, it's absolutely not an essential book. It's a helpful one. It's one that I've used a lot in my training over the years and on the input sessions that I've given on concept checking questions. So, get it if you feel that after you've had some input from your tutor on concept checking questions, you feel that you need more. I'll leave that decision in your court. Clearly, all these decisions are in your court. But, it's really effective, but it's not a must. Okay, so that is it for this video. Whoops. Just going to put myself into full screen there. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for the question. Please do, everybody, leave a comment down there. Let me know if you've done CELTA already. Did you do any reading before your course? And now that you've done CELTA, would you say that it was necessary to do much, if any, reading? Do you feel that if you didn't do reading, you would have done better? Or do you feel that if you did do the reading, that you did well as a result of it? Have you used any of these books, which I've mentioned as well? Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. And do you have any other tips that you could offer other people around the world who are preparing to take CELTA on how best to prepare for the course? Okay, as usual, please do go ahead and, as I'm going to do with this account, subscribe, hit the like button, hit this bell button over here as well, so that you get notifications, all notifications of my videos. And what would really, really help, I'd really love if you could leave a comment with a question. What about anything? Please leave a question, a comment, a thought, just a shout out. It really, really helps my channel to grow. I really appreciate it. And lastly, if you have a social media, please do share this video or any video of mine that you find useful on your social media. Who knows, somebody in your circle may be thinking about doing CELTA as well, and they may get something useful from the video. Okay, this has been a little bit of a long one, but I felt there was a lot to say, and I hope that you find it useful. Okay, thank you very much. Bye for now.